Welcome you to the Art Bar live stream. It's a full day of live videos from various different types of art forms. Today I'm going to be doing watercolor painting, and I shall show you what I'm going to attempt to draw. So if you can see that, that's what I'm going to have a go at doing. A man and woman looking out of a window in Paris. It's either Paris or it's Blackpool Tower. And I know Chris is laughing now because she knows that that looks like Blackpool Tower. So what I am going to do before I go any farther is get rid of that ultra annoying zoom in, zoom out thing, because there's no worse than that. Autofocus off, and we'll get that back there. Yeah, lol, yes, Blackpool Tower rocks. It does, Chrissy. It's just a little bit smaller. Right, so first things first about painting. What you need is equipment. So let's have a look at the brushes that I potentially might do. First of all, we've got a hake brush. Now it's an old Japanese stroke Chinese kind of brush. This has had some proper hammer over years. I mean, I've had this as long as I've been painting. So, and it's held together by an elastic band, as you can see. So it's dropping to bits, but I still love it. And we'll be putting washers on with that. And my other brushes, it might be one of the other of these. Now these are pointed mop brushes with and they have a quill rather than a normal metal end. And finally, for some detailed work, I shall be using this detailing graphics brush. I believe I forget. I believe, but I forget. That's great, isn't it? Where is it? I forget what the company name is for that one, but it's a Japanese brush. So it's like a very small calligraphy brush. But we need to actually also look at what the paper we're going to use as well. Now I'm treating myself today because I'm going to use some of my rowney Langton Prestige, and this is rough, not normal level paper. And it's not cheap, this, because it's the cotton paper as well. So now and again I get some of that out and I use that. But what else do you need when you're doing watercolor painting? Well, obviously you need your watercolors. Now this set I've got here, a my large set of what do they call them? White Knights, and they're a very affordable group of paints. They're a professional paint, but they're half the price of a professional paint, and they're well worth having a go with if you're just getting into them. So, and it's got its own little thing there. So I'm going to bring the drawing in where I've got. I'm just going to make a slight adjustment while I'm putting things in. I'm going to bring. There we go. I think we're almost ready. Now, obviously, to get the drawing done, I needed a pencil, a rubber. I've not got them, but I've already drawn that out because I didn't think I was going to have enough time, but I could have done half a dozen paintings with time I've got now. So, yeah, you've got 3 hours to put up with me now. So somebody's going to have to keep a look at the time for me, because on the hour, that's when I'm supposed to start, and I was going to do 3 hours from then. So I've got 3 hours and 12 minutes to do. So if somebody can keep an eye on the time for me, that'll be great. But what I'm going to do first is we always try to treat the background first as the first part of the painting. Yeah, they are very highly recommended. So obviously as well, you know, a watercolor painting equipment would not be fully equipped without some water. So here's a little bowl of water. I've taped it down because when you tape it down, when it gets wet, it bobbles and it becomes buckled. But if it's taped down, it will naturally go back to its natural position. If you don't tape it down, it will become buckled, and you'll have a difficult time trying to keep the painting right. So we now want to be thinking about wetting the picture. It's got no space whatsoever. Here we go. I don't know how important it is to have the chat up, because I haven't really got space for it. There we go. Right, I'm all. Oh, that's another thing I'm going to do. I'm going to switch the audio down so that you can't hear that, because it does my head in. Right, so let's give that a really good dousing. And would you, to start with, the sky is just that section, because this bit here is on the inside of the window if you look at it. So I'm going to give that a really good dousing, and this brush can pick up a lot of water. I'm going to roughly work round the people. And I'm going to work down into this bit here as well, because some of the sky, all we're doing at the moment is adding water. So here we go. So that section, as far as I'm concerned, is pretty much wet through. Really is very heavily wet, that. Just not forget that bit there. Right. Now we want to start putting an heavy application of light blue. I'm not going to be giving full names of exact colours, because pointless. If I just say it's a light blue, it's a light blue, because you might only have a light blue. You might not know any of the other colour applications. Now in the sky, it kind of whooshes up a bit, so that's where I'm going to go. And then we're going to go a bit stronger with it at this side, because it must be that at this side here, the light must be coming from that, because the sky itself is quite light at this side. So I'm going to work on that and apply some darker blues at this side. Still working with that swoosh kind of feel. Swoosh. And you may need to, at some point, go back over that. Right, so let's see if I can blend that in a bit better. That's it. And now I've got that, I want to bring one of my favourite weapons in. Toilet paper. Not tissue paper, toilet paper. So I'm going to get a few strands. And it's only the best quality 2-ply. We can't afford in Barnsley 4-ply. It's very posh, that. So what I've done is I've rolled it up into 2 little bits, and then you scrunch it up like that. And let's see if we can mop some of this water up that I've put down, and especially around this area here. Now this particular painting, or the image that I'm looking at, it has it looks like it's a sunset, because it has got a little bit of cloud down here that's got some like reddish purple in it. So that's what we're going to do now. We'll see if we can with a slight, should I go, no, yeah, we'll go for a slightly more controlled brush now. So I've got this this big mop brush, and I'm going to do a mix of orangey purple. So there we go. And I might use a bit of that and dab a dab a dab. Get some purple action going. We all know you like a bit of purple. And that will be around that area. And I'm being tentative with it, because you can actually overdo this if you're not careful. So I'm going to bring it down into this area here is buildings, but I want it to like slightly blend into it, as all nice watercolors do. That's what they're really good for, blending. So let's see if I can make it a bit more pronounced with the red like that. And then making sure that I've got the majority of the paint out. I've dabbed it out in my water, and I'm going to do like a slight lighter version of it. Still got a lot of paint in that, as though it's fizzing off into the background. Are we getting it, everybody? Oh, thanks, Sherry, for the last stint, and everybody else who's been involved. And I know, Chrissy, it is posh. So, believe it or not, this is almost where I want to leave it with regards the sky. I might see if I can get a little bit more of let's see if I can soften that up a bit. Now, to save a bit of time, I have got my pink air blowy thing, whatever you call it. Come on, you guys, you'll know what they're called. You technical crafter people. This. the pink thing. It's my lightsaber. So anyway, I'm going to see if I can get this dried off a little bit. So just mind your ears, or listen to some Van Halen or whatever. Van Halen. Oh. So anyway, other bands are available. Under normal circumstances, I would not use a drying tool like this. It's not very good. So I prefer to let them dry, but because we've only got limited time to actually get this painting done, and it's a bit boring watching paint dry, I'm going to do it like this. I'm hoping that that's done enough for me. Bright, crisp and dry. So I don't know how many people are actually in the chat. I'll just have a quick check. While we're here at the moment, I'm going to stop for a second or two. I'm going to see if I can see if you can, if there's any questions that you feel that you want to have answered. Now's your time. Question time. And I'll try and read it from the chat. I don't know how long it's going to come through. Any questions? Thank you, Sunshine Cooper. No, is there no questions at this moment? Because I'm going to have to move on soon. No. Thank you very much anyway. I'm just going to quickly check where I am on the... Yay. Right. So that's your background done. Or your sky anyway. But the next part of the background is the scenery around the city and the... I'm going to call it Blackpool Tower because I forgot what it's called. Come on, help me out. What do they call it? That. Thingy. No, I've lost it. It's okay, I've lost it. Anyway, I'm going to be painting that and this background area next. So, right, let's start thinking about it. That's it, the Eiffel Tower, that at least we have one person in here who has some culture. Thank you, Teresa. The Eiffel Tower. I nearly called it Blackpool Tower. It does look, honestly, I did it. We're doing a art bar op with several different individuals in different groups. So I'm going to start looking at this area here, which is the rest of the city and all the twinkly lights. Now you might think, I know, oh, it's dark, I'll do it black, but that's how to ruin your picture. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a mixture of several colors, but in their dark form, like dark brown and dark blues, and it will give it interest. So all you do is just do flicks like that. I'm not really following any specific. I'm not trying to paint every building in. You can't see every building. They're just abstract shapes. And make sure when you're doing it that you leave some spaces for light as well. So that's that done for now, and then we'll go in with a using that brown that we've just used and make that a more bluey colour. And that's like a, if you look, and it's that interaction of that brown and blue that really makes it stand out. Just make a few buildings on the horizon look like that. And for the time being, until that's dry, don't want to do very much more with it. What I will do is make that a little bit browner and start getting that right. The Eiffel Tower. I wonder how many people have fallen from tower. Is that why it's called Eiffel Tower? Eiffel Tower. That's a dreadful joke. Oh my Gideon. Shut up, Ian. Has anybody been to Paris? Who's been to Paris? I'm sure most of you guys have. You're very cultured, as I know. And I know for a fact that Chris has been to its twin city, Blackpool, where they have a similar type of tower. So that counts, Chrissy. Well, I feel really privileged because I've just been invited to go to Skegness, a proper seaside town. And I'm trying not to do too much detail. I'm trying to leave some of the idea of the building itself here, what I'm doing now, to your imagination, which is always a good thing because you've got a better imagination than I've got painting skill. You get that? So get people to do their own paintings by doing less. Less is more. So I think we're not far off now to the point where I want to start putting in this busy area, metropolitan area. There's lots of street lights. So I'm going to get some orangey colour and I'm going to get this highly polluted yellow. I don't know why that's that polluted. And I'm going to. You can do this with yellow because it's quite opaque. There's odd light here and there on Eiffel Tower. So we're going to show that off. And this will be one of them things where you might have to do several layers of it. As to whether I get that many layers done today of it, I don't know. I may not do. But we'll give it a fair representation of what it looks like as best we can. So just see that that's a bit too strong, I think. And this paper, by the way, is working absolutely gorgeous. So at this stage, I'm going to get the trusty lightsaber out. Let's see if I can get it dried again. So it's what they call it, for those of you of a nervous disposition, it's heat gun time. I'll come a bit more up to date with music this time, not Van Halen, Duran Duran. That might be more up your street, ladies. Right. So what I want to do now, before I forget to do it, remember I mentioned that I'm going to use this, it's a calligraphy brush, it's a Japanese calligraphy brush. I'm just trying to, I put it to one side, the actual, oh, here we go. It's a Zig Kirita, is it Zig? A Zig, that company there. Zig. Manso brush, and it's a small one. They're a natural hair brush, but they've got a really fine point for calligraphy paint, for graphic painting and calligraphy. And they are good for doing that very fine detail stuff. So what I'm going to do is that line down there, we aren't making a mess of it. Like that's going to happen. All right, let's see if we can. And this actually might be a good place to do a bit of dry brush work. And when I mean dry brush work, that means it's more paint than it is water. It's got a very low amount of water in it, and it has a very dry look to it when you paint with it. So and when you put it over rough textured paper, it has a really nice feel to it. You can see the brush strokes a lot better. There we go. And that's nice. That it's got a very brushy effect, that now, like that. So one or two last detaily bits, and we'll call the background done and sorted. So what will be next after this? We've got the window frame, and this is it an alcove where the window sits? So I'm gonna do that like a brown wooden kind of feel. But this round here, I'm not right sure what colour I want to do it yet. I wanted to bring out maybe an orange. I don't know, maybe a red or something. But we'll see. We'll see where that goes. And so next bit is the window frame. But that isn't that big a deal. So what I want to do now is get this Janina's favourite colour, yellow ochre, and I'm going to do this fairly dry as well. So I just want to very roughly put that in like that. Sorry if I'm not talking, I'm just concentrating on that point. But that'll be the undercolour for a much darker colour later on. See if I don't make a mess here. I'm cutting in there away from the person, and I'm going to do exactly the same there. And it don't, I mean, it's not critical if it goes over, but it helps if you have a certain amount of accuracy when you're doing this. This big brush doesn't help. So what am I doing using a great big brush on a really small area? I'm making a rod for my own back, aren't I? So remember, this is only an undercoat painting, underpainting. So I'm just making sure I've got everywhere I want. That will come with that. You probably just get a little bit there. Now the other part of that, because this is going to be wood, I'm going to put some more of that in, but I want that fairly dry. So let's just dab off. And I'm trying not to go too far because I don't want to get in front too much of the foreground figures, because that will leave it in a situation where you're struggling to know what is in the foreground and what is not. So I'm just very lightly getting the painting in. And I mean, it's not critical, this area here, round here and there, because a lot of that's going to be in shadow. But I'm just getting some value in just to make sure that we're going to be okay. So let's have a look then. I don't know. Should I? I'll get this purpley red. So it's almost like quinacridone magenta, I believe they call it. So it's very, you know, burgundy reddy colour. And let's see if I can put some of this goldy orange in it, see what colour comes out of that. Yeah, I like that. So that's probably colour I'm going to use here at the side. And I'm not because the outer edges of the painting are going to be quite easy going and fairly rough. I'm not really breaking bank with it, to be frank. Just trying to get some of this white area covered over. Right. Let's see if we can make that a lot darker. So I'm just going to use, rather than using the red now, I'm going to use a blue here in this area here, because it's in shade. The light coming in will hit the alcoved area, and anything that isn't around that alcove will become dark. So I'm giving it block 10, and I'm trying to do a fairly loose painting, so I'm not honestly that interested in making it seem as though everything's absolutely accurate, and you shouldn't do that anyway. A good watercolor painting should have a fluid looseness about it. Does it? Are you? How do you feel about it at the moment? Just you think it's going in the direction you thought it were going to do? What I am going to do now is get a bit of this and add it to that. So it's that yellow ochre to that dark purpley blue that we've got. Now that then, I'm just a bit undecided about that. Let's have a look, get it a bit drier. That will then go over that bit, but not the outside bit. Now what I'm going to do is do another heat gun session, because right, I'm a little bit happier with that now, so let's continue on. Because if you try applying layers of watercolor paint over layers, it'll just mud up. You need to let it like have a certain amount of drying time. So let's see if that has any better impact on it. That's it, that's a bit better. And note the outside edge, or the bit that's near the light, stays light, and this, because it's not receiving as much light, doesn't, if you know what I mean. It's less. And in this area as well, that, because now we're getting into the painting, we can start thinking about tonal values. All that area is going to be, because it's casting a shadow. And, that area might blend in as well to a dark area, like that. But we'll see how that goes. And then you've got this representation of the corners of that's going to be slightly darker. And right, what blue do we use? That one. Get a brown on it. And by adding all these various values like this, you give an interest to the painting. If you just painted it black, it might be slightly boring. Not that I'm against. I mean, I love doing monochromatic black paintings, but in most cases, it's better to try and, you know, put a bit of variation in it. So, right, we've got that to do as well. I nearly forgot. And again, round here, bit different there. I don't know. I think there should be some representation of a lack of shadow, a lack of light there. So where were we? We're going to go back to some of these browns, like a brownie. And if you're mixing in with previous colours and things like that that are already on your palette, it naturally gives you a colour harmony in your paint, so which is a massive bonus. So this is semi-dry, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag across. But we're not dry enough that. And that there is another area that I'll need to make darker. Again, I'm going to keep reinforcing that idea. And we're not that far off that section being completed. Just if we can hey Gail, I'm sorry I'm not looking very much at the chat. Hi Joey. So I'm just going to take a slight break while I go and change this water, and I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Chat amongst yourselves. Yay, I'm back. So, just for those of you who have actually just come in, I'll just go over what I've been doing. Obviously, it's been drawn out. It's on some of this paper, Langton Prestige, 100% cotton by rowney. Very expensive, but very nice paper. Taped it down, and it's all been drawn on. It's a composite image of several. These two people were never in the image together, and neither were Paris. They're all in different pictures, so I've cobbled them all together, and we're just about making a painting out of it. So, and I just thought I'd do something like last time I did one of these hops. I did a bird, and I thought I wanted to do something with people and interaction with people in it this time round. So we're not far off from making a start with getting the colours in for the two people, and then that will be the first overall layer done. Then after that, we'll think about tonal values, getting some tones in to make it look more three-dimensional and more joined together as a painting. So I hope you're enjoying this. And I'm just going to have a quick look at how we're getting on 19. Dear me. So right, so I'm happy that the background's all done. Now I'm going to move on to my next picture, which is the, no, it really should be her actually, because I think she's slightly behind him, because his foot's there and her legs behind. So what you do with watercolor painting is you try to work from the back to the front, and that helps with a sense of depth. So let's find our lady friend, her reference, and she's wearing like a blue top with some dark black leggings, which is not going to be too difficult to do, is it really? Let's have a look. I'm going to avoid the head for the start, and then I'm going to get a nice strong vibrantly blue and put it straight on, especially in areas where it's gonna light's gonna hit it like that. And then I get another blue, and normally to get a black I tend to get a strong dark, a strong dark brown, like burnt umber, and put it with ultramarine blue, which gives you a very dark blue, but it's almost indistinguishable with black, to be frank. But it does give a little bit. It what it doesn't do is makes the image dull, which we don't want it to be. So, and black can do that. It can really flatten an image out, and that's why a lot of professional watercolor artists, especially, don't use black. Although there's nothing wrong in doing that. There are occasions where black's the only thing that you can really use. So that's and literally in the painting, these, when you have strong light coming towards you, anything that's in front of that strong light will silhouette to a larger degree. Now, the closer something gets to you, the more detail you see, so you will see little bits of colour. So the trick in this particular part of the painting is to have a bit of colour and a bit of silhouetting, and that's what we're trying to do. Yeah, thank you for your thumbs up, everyone, and all your support that you give us. I'm very, very grateful for your support. So I'm going to get some more of that. I'm going to make it a bit more blacker. No, I need a touch more blue. So what I'm going to do now is try and define areas of darkness. And because it's clothing, it's going to have wrinkles in it. And you don't have to, when you're doing these wrinkles and things like that, don't follow the reference image. Don't be putting every tiny little wrinkle and that really will spoil the picture. You just need to give reference to that kind of thing, because you try to apply detail to a watercolor painting, And unless you're one of top professional watercolor painters on this planet, you ain't going to do it. It's going to just look amateur and rubbish. So less is more in watercolor. So I'm going to come about that far, and that's where her arm takes over, because she's got some sort of, you know, ladies, one of those short sleeve shirt things, jumpers that women tend to wear. So that's that, and I want to just reinforce that area as well. So a tough spot, and I always make a pig's ear of this bit, which I'm gonna try and make a pink of some kind. That'll do. And you can only see part of the face here, but it is important that we get, is that too light, too strong? And that, for the time being, is as much as I want to do with that face, because that's as much as you see. But we have got another part of the body that's showing flesh off, if you want to call it that, and that's here on the arm. Now in centre of it, it's going to be darkest, and the two extremities of the edges are going to be light, because light's wrapping around the edge of the arm. And there is a tiny bit of detail there, but I'm not going to be sucked into the trap of putting detail in. I'm just going to indicate colour there, because it's not a key feature and we're not doing hyper detailed artwork. I can get away with that. So next, what I want to do is, oh, while we're here, and I've got this nice darkish, see if I can get a bit of red into that. There you go. Whistle while you work. I can't whistle, so that's me blowing it. Right, and see if we can get some more. Keep applying that idea. And we're virtually ready to do the guy now. Oh, no, wait a minute. But no, I'm going to fully concentrate on the lady first, and time. I just want to make sure it's dry before I go any far away, especially this face area. Right. Hopefully that's dry enough now for me to continue on. Now I'm going to use this again, this detailed graphics brush. I'm going to start. Here's an area where you can be a bit more flamboyant with the detail. I'm gonna. She's kind of a, I won't call her a blonde, but she's got a lot of light streaks in her hair. So we've got that to start with. Now while it's wet, I'm going to mix up a kind of brown. See if I can get a nice brown. I don't want it to be too and they're just flicks. I'm trying not to be overly deliberate with now I'm going to leave it like that for a while and let that dry. Meanwhile, there are one or two other bits that I just want to get some definition in, and that'll be there. It's only the slightest, because it's not a key feature. I'm not overly bothered if you don't see very much of that. It's not that significant in the painting. The overall painting should be the key important thing here. So now we're going to concentrate on the guy here. So I'm going to switch to my reference image. Now he's got like a grey coloured top and blue jeans on. So I'm going to make a start with the blue jeans. I'm going to get that mixture there and get some blue in it. There you go. There's a nice light, maybe a bit more. Because it is slightly silhouetted, I still want to be thinking carefully about how much colour I'm pouring in. And again, I'm going to be fairly dry in my application here. And that again, it's got like areas where it's all creased. Do we have any issues that you'd like to raise? If you have got any questions, I'd really appreciate it if you put your questions in the comments box later on once we're done, and then I can independently answer your questions for you in a manner that's appropriate. So because at this stage I can only say various little bits about things. Let's see if I can. Right, so that's that painted in. The leg that's on the other side seems to be more silhouetted than this is, even though that's in darkness, which is really weird. But we'll keep cracking on with that and see how we get on. Crack on. How is crack on, Chrissy? Is you painting away? Right, so here's your leg that's in the background. Do I detect in this image that he's got some turn-ups? They were a long time ago. I bet a lot of people can remember turn-ups, can't they? You millennials, you won't understand what that is. If there are any millennials here. I mean, I would imagine most millennials will be out clubbing tonight. Friday night, clubbing, millennials. So this is where it gets a bit interesting. Let's see if we can. Should I have a purpley tinge to this? Why not? Let's have a look. No. Right, I'm going to put that in it. So his shirt, again, it's a similar situation in the sense that it has wrinkles and crinkles, so you want to represent that, but it's also dark as well, especially around there. There's a dark area, and what I want to do from that point on is see if we can start blending all this area here that's dark into one block of darkness, kind of. So that you can't really tell the difference with where things end and where things start. So we're getting there. Let's see if we can get some more paint in. And this is where the magic of watercolor starts coming in. All these natural blends help it to have a cohesive idea of what it is. I can get that in there. That area there will be quite dark as well. So a lot round here, because there's not a lot of light being able to get through, will be very heavily dark, and is an opportunity again to get another layer of dark in on that. And strangely enough, because there's that bit of a gap there on that particular painting, it's letting enough light through to create that shaft of light there. But that's all down to where she's actually sat on the wall. He's got his back more straight to the wall, whereas she's more curved in where she's doing things. Let's see if I can get a bit of dark in there now. I'm not going to be doing an awful lot with the faces. They're too small to be putting detail in. If you try putting detail into these faces when you've got an undetailed painting, you might start having issues. So we're not going to be doing that. So let's right. So right, let's I'm going to flood in all this area that needs. Again, this is another example of because of silhouette. It's you're not going to see a lot of light area. That's a nice brown. There you go. Right, what I will do at this outer edge here is nip a bit of it off so there is a little bit of light on it. Well, that's a bit too much, but we'll go back to my small brush, see if we can tease some of this lighter area, get rid of some of these hard edges so they've got what's called lost and found edges. Right, so he's got a pair of trainers on that are white, but obviously we can't depict them as white. They've got to be kind of grey coloured. Right. And he must have some sort of dark socks on as well. I'm going to put some dark socks there. There you go. Most of the rest of the painting is pretty much like that. Now, at the moment, there's a lot of areas on the painting that are wet. So again, I'm going to put my heat gun on and settle it down a bit because I'm getting nowhere by just putting paint on. So I don't know what the mood music is at the moment, but you play it. Right, we are back. So see if we can get some of this I don't know, terracotta-y kind of colour, if you want to call it terracotta. Probably not terracotta, but there you go. Start putting some other bits of detail in. So I'm being quite muted with these, and that's too small to use the other one now. So I'm going to go to this small this small brush here, and that hopefully will help me do the job a lot quicker. So I'm getting some ready browns, and that they're going to be warm colours. And it's going over the same areas again, picking out points of interest. See, now you can like chisel out the interesting points. You go, and you don't really have to do tons of detail to make something look detailed. Just give the impression, and that will do the job. So now we want to be doing dark blues. So I'm going to go back to my dark blue and mix it in with that. And get some defined areas in there. Again, emphasizing that dry brush kind of feel. Tap of water. It's a tiny bit too dry, that. Sorry if I go quiet on you. I'm over concentrating, which I shouldn't do really. If you concentrate too much on a piece of work, you tend to become too tight in your expression, and it can ruin a painting yet again. Another thing that can easily ruin a painting, which seems to be most of the things that I've done in my lifetime. Right, let's see if we can. I don't really need to go back to the picture of the layout. Let me just get rid of some of the paint. Let's see if I can get again that definition there to be of a similar nature. So how many of you we actually have a go at watercolor painting on a regular basis? Have you got what tips have you got for me? Well, what time am I supposed to? All right, I've got another hour after this, and have I in my normal time? Can somebody tell me how long I've the blobby and low? Yeah. Can somebody tell me how long I've got? Danina, can you tell me how long I've actually got? I know I'm supposed to be on for another hour. That was for me normal 2 hours. So do I have another 2 hours to go yet before I have to go off? The blub. Elf Lord, how are we? It's nice to see you here. Another area that I think needs a bit of heavy concentration is that it's supposed to be black, that with an edge of whiteness. But it's amazing how you can actually with such heavy silhouetting, how you can actually get quite a bit of detail, a lot more than what you think you might do, because what we register as black are a combination of dozens of very dark colours, and that can create a huge amount of detail. Mm. No, I'm not right sure as to whether I'm that far off, and I've got another 2 hours to go yet. So what I will do is, because I don't want to overpaint it, is do another, uh, do like a painting, how to do painting overview kind of thing. Danina, are we still okay for our next person after you? Do I have to do a next something? Oh no, I do, don't I? Yeah. So I'm not right sure as to how much more I've got to do on that. What do you think, Carl? Do you think that's pretty much finished? Tell you what I will do. Now that area is dry, but we'll add in a few more. The thing is about watercolor is it it dries a lot lighter than what you think it's going to do. So sometimes you have to go back over things that um, needs that extra bit of work doing to it. But as far as I feel at the moment, that is the painting done. But if you want, I can either do a drawing or I can do a little basics on watercolouring the various types of brush strokes and styles that you have. Something that you can like pick up immediately and have a go with. But let's just do get the tape off and see what it looks like. I'll tell you what I'll do first. I'll just give this a drying in certain areas before we go any farther. I thought it was going to take me 2 hours to actually paint this, but I've got an extra hour. Yeah, right, here we go. What I will reveal to you in a second or two is I did a little preliminary painting of it, and I'm not sure whether that's a better one than this, to be frank. But then again, when I'm on my own and I'm in my own little place, I tend to go into a. So this is the painting as a whole. If I can get it to. Oh, why can't you see that? So that's the painting. I may go on and do odd bits to it, but that's as far as I really want to take it at the moment. My little romantic rendezvous in Paris. We'll have a go at some basics. Okay then. So I'll get myself a sheet of paper, if I can. Now I'm going to change the brushes because I'm going to do other things. But the first thing I want to show you with basic watercolor, right, is application of paint. So let me just, and it's not going to be anything massive. I'm going to get this paint here, and that's what I'm going to use. All right. And meanwhile, I'm just going to go and change the water because that's supposed to be clear. And as you can see, it ain't clear. So I'm going to go and clean out the water, and I'll be back in a few seconds. Right, I'm back. And right, so just put that there. All right. What I do need for this, a really good piece of equipment to have when you're doing painting, is one of these microfiber cloths. It doesn't have to be a microfiber cloth, but it just happens to be a microfiber cloth, that. Because if you've got too much water on your brush, and that's what happens with a lot of people, all you have to do is dab it off, and then you will have enough to do the painting. It gets rid of the excess. So I'm going to make this really, really dry, because what I want to do first, I want that to have enough to be able to pick the paint up, but not to pick a lot up. Because I'm going to demonstrate the first thing. Right? The first thing, that's dry brush. And what that does is it those little white areas, where the paper's raised. And the drier your brush gets, the more raised areas show through. Well, it's the indent, not the raised area. But that's dry brush, and that's the kind of effect that you get with that kind of technique. That's dry brush work. What we want to move on to next is the application of water and brush. So we now need to go to the next stage, where we go. I'm just going to make sure that's wet enough. So this is called a flat wash. And what I'm doing there is continuing the wash by using the water that's in it to push down the paint down. And if you look at it, it's all universally the same. At the top there and at the bottom there should all be basically the same flat colour without any adjustment. Now there's another version of this, and it's a similar technique. You wet your brush, get plenty of paint on it, apply it, and do what you were doing before, but then you stop. Put it in your water. Don't dab it there because it'll go too dry. And then at the edge of it, you get that to come down a bit. So that's weakened it a bit. And then you do it again. Put it in the water. Put it at the edge of that. And then one more until it goes to white. And can you see how that kind of gradates down from a strong colour down to a very light amount of paint, where it's mostly the paper showing through. So that's three that we've got there. But there is another one that is really interesting that you could learn and practice, and that's you get your paint on your brush, and like these other two. And by the way, this is just the first part. This is wet on dry. All those are wet on dry, i.e. the paint is wet and the surface is dry. when you apply it. All of these, and I'll show you another one after this. So I've got that far, and what I'm showing you now is called a variegated wash. So I'm going to get another colour, and I'm going to put it away from it separately, like that. If I can, and you can do this multiple times with various colours. And I'm going to move it slowly but surely up to it until I'm just a bit away from it, and then join these two together and bring it down so that they both blend so far. And that's called a variegated wash. So I hope I'm not boring you to death, but they're all dry washes that you can use to paint your picture, because that's what it's about. Washes. Let it dry, another wash on top of it, and then let it dry, another wash on top of that, and that's how you build up layers, using all these dry, flat, I forgot what they call that, graduated and variegated wash in the dry brush style. Now you might hear an expression in watercolor painting called wet on wet. So what does that mean? So what that means is the paper's wet, so I'm going to apply water there, right? Plenty on, just to make sure that we know what's happening, right? And then I'll get my paint, which I'll make very wet, so it's very watery, and yeah, it's still got plenty of pigment in. And then you go like this, you go watch. Boom, 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 boom. You can do this. You can have a load of fun doing all this, and make little flowers even. Look, flowers, flowers. Is that what? That's what I'm going to do there. Probably already too strong for it, but tiny little dot there. Oh. And while I've got this end of the brush, there you go. You got an abstract flower painting. So now you've learned the basic processes of what watercolor artists use: dry brush, flat wash, thingy wash, where it graduated wash, sorry, variegated wash, which is more than one color blending into each other, and wet on wet technique. Now you've learned that, you've got all the tools you need to do a watercolor painting. But what you do need to do from there on is learn how to right learn how to control your brush. So something I've been, and I'm sure Danina won't mind, but something I've been teaching Danina is how to do some flowers. So let's have a go at doing that. So I don't know if I'm going to use, yeah, I'll use this, right? So you take your brush, and it's fairly wet, but not strongly wet. This is wet on dry, so your brush is wet, your paper's dry, and you go, and I'm really pushing it out. So can you see how? I'll just show you like that. Can you see how the brush is like that? I've really pushed it out like that, and then I'm going to lift it. I'm going to do exactly the same there, and lift, and then like that, and a little bit of paint on it. There you go. There you go, flower. And that's a really easy way to actually produce a flower. Now, if you want to then take that a step farther, so we're going to really fill up the brush, right? Absolutely chock-a-block full. That's really filled up, and then on the edge, I'm going to just on the edge of it. I'm going to get a blob of a blob. That's a blob, Chrissy. A blob of yellow, and watch what happens when you put that down like that. And by the way, these techniques do work with acrylics. So if you've got acrylics and you're one of the people who does acrylics, you can still use this technique. And what if I've done it quickly enough, I can. There you go. And you have a flower. Now that could be a middle distance flower. So a blob of yellow. Yeah. So I don't know where I am in the span of time. So I'm just gonna have to consult with Danina what sort of time she wants to come on, what time she has she needs. Because it's now it's 23 minutes past 8. So if she wants to, if Danina wants to come on now, it is your kind of flower, Danina. That's what we've been learning, isn't it? So yeah, just have a go at practicing this particular thing. And if you've learned that today, just that, you've learned a lot about watercolor. You go quickly and as simply as that. And you can, once that's dry, you can put a bunch of them together. I'll quickly dry these and then see if we can make a little collage of it. Right. There we go. And very quickly, you literally can build up an interesting painting just with one colour. There we go. So yeah, if you want to come on now, Danina, I'm about done. So what I'll do is you go and get yourself set up and send me. I'll look out for your being set up, and I'll wrap up, and then I'll hand everybody over to you, if you don't mind. So and then because Danina's got some really nice stuff for us to do. So what I'm going to do, concentrate on now is make sure that the admin of the crossover, because Danina's got nobody to help her in that. So Danina, if you want to go and just get yourself set up, that'll be fine. But while I'm here and I've got the time, have any of you got any questions or anything about watercolouring or artwork generally? All right then. We'll see you later, Kathy. Yeah, I mean they are quite easy. I mean, all I've done is literally just press down like that. There's no brush stroke. You just, and then pull a stem off it. There you go, flower. Especially these because they look a little bit like poppies. Yeah, I can do a leaf. It won't be a leaf in the colour in the. Well, go on. I've got some green here, and I'll put it there, right? So what? I mean, leaves have all sorts of shapes, don't they? This looks like one of those autumn leaves, doesn't it? I mean, there's leaves like that, isn't there? And then you'd embellish that by making bits of it darker. And it's just a matter of how much pressure you're putting down on your brush that determines the shape. If you just always continue, I mean, I could do a leaf like that by just painting it like that. But how slow is that? You don't have to. Okay, be vigorous with your brush strokes, and that will. Right. Does I'll watch out for you going live. We're going to be going live with Danina soon. But does that Teresa, anything under £90 I wouldn't paint on personally. Um, you it won't take an awful lot of punishment your paper. If you can get a reasonable quality watercolor paper that's cheap. I mean, this what I've got here, what I'm painting on now, it's not high quality paper, but it's good for practicing on. And if you can find a reasonable quality paper that's watercolor, you'll get much better results Or alternatively, if you've got some nice mixed media paper, that might do it. What else have we got? Well, Eva, you can go back and look at the art bar day. If you put art bar, sorry, hashtag art bar op 2, and that's all one word. You'll be able to. In fact, I'll put it in now, and then if anybody wants to go back and look at the day that we've had, you can do. So it's oops, I'm doing it wrong myself. Hashtag art hop 2. That's what you need to do there. But I'm now just waiting for Danina getting set up. So I've not seen that she's got set up yet. So she can indicate. But if you want to go over to Danina, who's the next person in the hop, we're just waiting on her setting up, and she'll receive you over there. We're going to put a tag up in a minute if she's getting ready.